Hi everyone, I wanted to give you a quick review on how to use completing the square to solve an equation. So I have a quadratic equation here, x squared plus 4x minus 10 equals 0. And the first step you need to do is to make sure that all of the variable terms are on one side and all the constant terms, that's the plain numbers, are on the other side. So in my equation, I need to move this minus 10 to the other side. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides. Next, I should make sure that there is no number in front of my x squared. In this case, there isn't one, but if x squared had a coefficient, I would need to divide every single term, everything, by that number. So if there was a 3 here, I would end up with 4 divided by 3 and 10 divided by 3. Okay, I have to do that. In this case, there isn't one, so I don't have to do that. Step 2, add b over 2 squared to both sides of the equation. The b value is always the number that is attached to the plane x. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I have to add 2 squared on both sides of the equation. And I'm allowed to do that because it's happening to both sides. And this is the result. I had x squared plus 4x plus 2 squared equals 10 plus 2 squared. The next step is that I have to factor and simplify. What that means is that I factor this, and this is a perfect square trinomial now. That's the whole point of completing the square, is that you're completing something to make a perfect square trinomial, and then I simplify this side. Factored form looks like this. I keep the x from the first term, keep the sign from the middle term, and keep the 2 that was squared from the last term. Then you put it in parentheses, and then the whole thing is squared. And then I just calculated 10 plus 4 is 14. So that's the factoring and the simplifying. Let me just repeat the factoring. You keep one thing from each term. Keep the x from here, keep the plus from the middle term, and then keep the thing that was squared in the last term. Okay, now for the last step, it says solve the equation for x. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to do the square root on both sides and then get the x alone. So I did the square root and I got x plus 2 equals positive or negative square root of 14. And if this could be simplified, you would. And you definitely need the positive or negative sign there. And then finally, you should subtract the 2 to this side to make sure that x is completely alone. And it's generally shown in this format where the square root comes last, you have the plus or minus sign, and then the integer comes next, the number that's there. Okay, so that's how you complete the square to solve an equation. Let me know if you have any questions.